Hello, my friends. It's Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com. Welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be featuring the Timeless Tulips bundle. Guys, I gotta tell you, this is probably one of my favorites right now. Love that tulip. I love that it's a dual punch. We get the tulip and we get the leaf. Now, I've got some tips on creating and working with this punch because it's got a little bit of a learning curve and I want you to learn all about it. Hey, if you love a good crafting video, be sure to click subscribe and get notifications whenever I have a new video. But I say we get started on our gorgeous Get Well Tulip card. The card today is so simple, so clean. I love it, and I think you will too. Let me give you the supplies and the measurements for the card today. And hey, if you don't catch these, don't worry about writing them down. You can always find them at SimplySimpleStamping.com. Look for the February 6th, 2020 blog post. That's where all this will be. I'm going to start with a purple posy card base. This is cut 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. So that means this card's going to fit into one of our medium-sized envelopes. Now we're going to layer on top of that a piece of Whisper White cardstock. This is 3 3/4 by 5 inch. And I've got another piece of Whisper White that's going to layer on top of that. This one is 3.5 by 4 3/4. Now, if you guys have been following me for long, you know I love to save cardstock. So we're going to use our layering piece, and that's where we're going to get our stamped and punched images. And then we're just simply going to cover it up and no one will ever see. Hey, you're also going to need a little linen thread bow. Now I left my tails kind of long on this one. You'll see why, how it adds to the card when we get to the end. Now the star of the show today is the Timeless Tulips bundle. Guys, this is a fabulous bundle. Look at this. We have a dual flower punch, so we have the tulip and a leaf, and then look at this stamp set. It's fabulous. We've got 3 different tulips, 3 different leaves, 2 stems, but oh my goodness, let's talk about these great sentiments and that adorable font. Today I'm going to make a Get Well Soon card, but look at this. I have Happy Easter, I have Happy Birthday, hello, just a lot of really great sentiments, but I thought, you know what, this tulip's going to lend itself nicely to this Get Well. So let's get started. I've got my Highland Heather and Pear Pizzazz ink pads. And we're going to start with that bottom layer. So this is the larger piece of the Whisper White. Now there is a little bit of a trick with this punch because you see we have the 2 images. So when I go to stamp, I need to kind of pay attention to where I'm stamping. So the first thing I want to do is to stamp the tulip, and I need it to be all the way over to the right side. Now I don't want to go too far off, so I am going to be careful to keep it about right here. So I'm going to take that Highland Heather ink pad. A couple things to know about this punch before we get started. So the first thing I want you to notice is the tulip is at an angle. It is not straight up and down. And you're going to want to kind of pay attention to that. The other thing you're going to notice is that leaf is right next to it. So if we bring this punch in and we stamp, boy, we've got to make sure that we're not going right in the middle because we still have to get a couple leaves out of that. So I'm going to want to line this up right here on the edge. So I'm giving myself a little eyeball. All right. I want to just kind of know where this tulip is. But you saw this as well, right? It only goes in so far. So the first thing we want to do is we want to stamp our tulip. And I'm going to ink that up in the Highland Heather. And I'm going to kind of bring it down here in the corner a little bit. And remember I said it was an angle? Let's stamp it at an angle. It's going to make our lives easier. So about right there. And let me show you then. I can bring in my punch. And you see, that's given me that ability to line up my tulip in my punch. And yes, it's going to get that little leaf too. Let me set that off to the side. All right, tulip is done. I'm going to flip this around so I can get my leaves. Now there are 3 leaves, but this would be the right leaf for the punch. So I'll bring in the Pear Pizzazz. And again, I want to take a look at my stamp and my punch to make sure I'm about to stamp it going the right way. You notice this is the right way. This would go the wrong way. So let's make sure we're about to stamp correctly. And remember, we did just do this. You know what? I don't think I'm going to flip that around. I think I'm going to go right here. And I can see, if I can see where this leaf is. How about we just go right next to it, okay? We're going to stamp 2 of these, but we're actually only going to stamp them 1 at a time. Let me show you why. So I'll stamp this one right next to the one that was pre-punched. You guys remember that one? I'm going to bring in my punch, line it up. Oh, look, it just got that mess. That's okay. Remember, all of this is going to be hidden. So there is 1 leaf that has been punched. Let's repeat that. Again, paying attention to the direction of my leaf. We'll stamp that one right there and give it a punch. Yep, it's all about saving cardstock around here. I love to get as much use as I can before I go and cover something up. We're now going to bring in the other piece of Whisper White so we can stamp our stem and a couple other leaves. So let's bring in the stem. And you know what? I am going to go off the paper. So I'm going to put some grid paper underneath me. So let's stamp the stem. And here's the thing we have to kind of be aware of. And that is where our tulip is going to be. So watch this. I'm going to flip that tulip over. I'm just using it to eyeball. That's all. But I just want to kind of know where it's going to be. So you can see I didn't hit the tulip. It was better safe than sorry. So that's why I flipped it over. But when I adhere it, I know that my tulip's going to go right there. All right, let's come in now with a different leaf. I mean, we have some different ones. Why not use them? So we're going to add these and we'll just put one right there. I'm going to flip this one around and let's bring it up high. Why not? How about right there? We have a couple options with our Get Well Soon. So I could just stamp Get Well Soon, but I want to bring in my sample. I said Get Well Soon. I kind of broke it up a little bit. So there's a couple different ways that we can do this. I'm going to bring in my Memento ink pad and I am just going to ink up the words Get Well. And let me show you how I'm going to do that. I'm literally just tapping just the words Get Well in my Memento black ink. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my images just so I have an eyeball. I want to kind of know where things are going to sit. I'm not going to adhere anything down yet, but I do want to know where things are going to be. Now I'm going to stamp Get Well right here. I'm now going to go clean my stamp really well, and then I'm just going to ink up the word Soon. I'm going to tap it on my grid paper. I want to make sure that is totally clean. Now I can do that same method, and I'm just going to ink up the word Soon. And then we'll stamp that right there. All right, my stamping is done. Now I said I'd show you a couple different ways. I'm going to share with you a little trick I love to do to my stamps. Are you ready? I'm actually going to cut this stamp in half. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Yep, that is all I did. Now let me show you. That's going to allow me to change where the word Soon is going to go. But if I want it all together again, it's just a little puzzle that will go right back together perfectly every time. It is time to put this card together. I told you it would be fast. All right, there's my ugly piece. We're just going to adhere that down. Now my focal image here, I'm actually going to adhere with Stampin' Dimensionals. That's what's going to make this really pop, and we love that look. I'm going to say I'm going to put probably about 8 dimensionals on here, so 3 down each of the long sides. And then we'll get some here. You know what? Let's make it 9. I think I want 1 right there in the middle just to make sure everything's good. All right, let's adhere this to the front of that card so that we can hide that horrible punching mess that we have. All right, then we can adhere that. Now we're actually going to use some more dimensionals here on our tulip and our leaves. All right, we can add our tulip and leaves. Hey guys, if you love this bundle, you're going to want to make sure you get your hands on it while it's available, and you can do that over at simplysimplestamping.com. Guys, the bundle is really fantastic. All right, let's add that little linen thread bow. I'm going to take a mini glue dot. I'm going to roll it into just a tiny little ball, and let's add it about right here. Let's take that little linen bow and we'll add it right there. Oh my gosh, you guys, such a sweet card. Now on the inside for this one, I did want to leave it blank so that I have plenty of room for a nice message wishing my friend get well soon. And there you go, my friends, a very simple and quick card. If you enjoyed it, I would love a thumbs up on YouTube. It lets me know what you like and what you want to see more of. And thank you guys again so much for being a part of today's card. I sure appreciate you. Have a great day, everybody.